There's a moment towards the end of Uncharted 4 where the adventure slows down, not because the story's over, but because it wants you to feel like the Nathan Drake saga is finally coming to a close. And in that moment, the game quietly reveals what it's been about all along. Not treasure, not danger, not even adventure, but what it means to say goodbye and let go of something you really care about. This isn't a review of the game, so there's going to be no scores here, no hype, and I'm not just going to regurgitate the same popular opinion that this is a masterpiece you absolutely must play. Because for backlog gamers, the real question isn't, is this game good? Instead it's, is this the right experience for me right now? And Uncharted 4 is a very specific type of experience, one that many players love, but others bounce off quietly without really understanding why. So instead of reviewing the game, this video is about understanding the experience it offers and helping you decide whether that experience is actually worth your time. And to do that, we'll look at 4 simple questions. Firstly, what the game asks of you as a player. Next, how does the experience compare to the initial expectations going in? Third, what kind of player does the game actually suit best? And lastly, what stays with you after you finish playing? Because whether Uncharted 4 leaves a lasting impact on you usually depends less on the game itself and more on what you're hoping to feel when you press start. So let's start with the most important question to ask. What does Uncharted 4 actually expect from you as a player? At its core, Uncharted 4 asks something rather simple of you as a player, just to keep moving forward. Not just through each level or to the next objective, but through moments, conversations and memories that the story builds itself around. Because this isn't an adventure built around mastery or challenge, it's built around momentum, the feeling that you're being carried from one meaningful scene to the next. In practice, that means that almost everything you do in the game supports that sense of guided forward motion. The mechanics are there to serve progression, not to stop you in your tracks or test you for too long. That design choice shapes the entire player experience. Because what the game is really asking for isn't precision or optimization, or even deep mechanical focus. It's engagement with the journey itself, or to follow the story wherever it leads. It wants you to stay present with the characters and their relationships with one another, and to keep stepping into the next moment without resisting the direction you're being taken. So the real question at the heart of this experience isn't about difficulty or scale, it's whether you're happy to move forward through a story that's leading you, rather than one that's waiting for you to lead it. Because your answers to that question will define how the rest of your journey will feel. This is especially important after you begin because the experience you imagine at the start isn't always the one that unfolds over time. So next, let's explore the gap between typical expectations and the reality of playing Uncharted 4. Before playing Uncharted 4, it's easy to picture the experience in a very specific way. A fast-moving adventure, constant danger, and big cinematic set pieces arriving one after another. A playable blockbuster that never slows down. And to a certain extent, that is delivered in all the right places. Yes, there is action, and plenty of it, but it's carefully spaced out, not thrown at you relentlessly. And most importantly, the lived experience of playing the game gradually starts to feel different from the initial expectation, not dramatically and not all at once. Just slowly enough that you notice the tone shifting beneath the surface, because alongside the action, something quieter keeps appearing. Longer conversations, smaller character movements, and spaces where nothing urgent is happening, and yet the story still feels like it's moving forward. Because Uncharted 4 isn't trying to outgrow its roots through scale or intensity. Instead, it quietly reframes what the adventure was ever about in the first place. Not the danger, not the treasure, but the people who were there whilst it happened. And once that shift is clear, the experience stops feeling like a race towards the finale and starts feeling like a journey that's carefully choosing what it wants you to remember. So the real difference here between your expectation and your experience isn't about pace or gameplay, it's about focus. What begins as a search for excitement slowly becomes something closer to a search for closure. Because once the experience reveals what it truly cares about, a more important question naturally follows. Who is this kind of journey best suited to? Let's look at that next. When deciding the type of player that Uncharted 4 is suited to, it's important to remember that even beautifully crafted journeys only resonate deeply with certain types of players at certain moments in their lives. And this one's no different. Without stating the obvious, if you love cinematic story-driven games, there aren't many better examples than this. It delivers blockbuster moments without demanding complex systems or overwhelming controls. More importantly, Uncharted 4 tends to connect most strongly with players who value story presence over player control. for people who want to be guided through a carefully shaped narrative as long as the emotional payoff feels genuine. You're given space to explore and take things in, but the game also knows where it's leading you, so you rarely feel lost, stuck, or frustrated. If you're a player who cares about pacing and character nuance in your stories, Uncharted 4 really shines. The characters feel authentic, and their conversations and relationships play out in a way that feels genuinely human. And for those players, the experience can feel quietly personal and almost reflective, like the game understands something about growing older alongside the adventures that you once loved. But that same design can feel different if you're looking for something else. If you crave constant difficulty spikes or total freedom in how you approach the world, then the journey here can feel more guided than you would want. There are challenges and optional exploration here, but the experience is carefully structured and definitely story first. But if strong narratives, memorable characters, and a sense of journey matter to you, Uncharted 4 is an experience that you'll likely remember for a long time. Let's finally look at what aspects will stay with you after the experience is over. When Uncharted 4 ends, what lingers isn't a single blockbuster moment, puzzle, or set piece. It's something much smaller. The quieter moments that only reveal their weight once the journey's already over. Conversations that feel casual at the time, but slowly reshape how you understand the characters and the choices they're facing. And the simple feeling of reaching the end of a story that clearly knows it doesn't want to begin again. None of these moments demand your attention whilst you're playing, but afterwards they're the ones that often stay. When added together, those set pieces leave a different kind of aftertaste than most other action games. Instead of remembering what you overcame, you remember where the journey decided to rest. Instead of thinking about difficulty or spectacle, you think about the character development and the change in relationships. And you accept that some adventures are meaningful because they have a well-rounded ending. And for someone choosing what to play from their backlog, that distinction really matters. Because finishing Uncharted 4 rarely feels like another game checked off the list. It feels more like closing a chapter you didn't realise was still open. So years from now, what you remember about Uncharted 4 probably won't be the danger, the treasure, or even the adventure itself. It will be the quiet sense that, for a brief time, you were able to say goodbye to a story that mattered. And whether that goodbye feels powerful or simply gentle is ultimately what decides if the journey was worth your time in the end. If this kind of backlog-focused, experience-led breakdown is useful to you, there'll be plenty more to come on the channel.